Hello and welcome to the Grand Prix podcast!
Whoa! Yeah, baby!
We're going racing in Hungary, where in 1974, a Hungarian mathematics professor named Erno Rubik created something that would drive the world absolutely mad. A simple 3x3x3 cube with 6 colours that seemed impossible to solve. Welcome to the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix, a place where Formula One has become the ultimate Rubik's Cube, and nobody has figured out the algorithm for it. Let's examine our F1 cube, shall we? Each phase tells a story, and each twist reveals new chaos. First we have red, Ferrari red. Charles Leclerc has pulled off the impossible, solving his side of the cube from pole position. But on the other side of the Italian face is Lewis Hamilton, who is having back-to-back misery in qualifying after a Belgian Grand Prix pit lane start and a disappointing 12th for the 7-time world champion, proving that sometimes when you solve one side of the cube, you scramble everything else. Orange, McLaren orange. Oscar Piastri sits pretty in second, leading the championship by 16 points over teammate Lando Norris in third. Piastri won in Spa last weekend, his first victory in 4 races since Barcelona. But this McLaren puzzle is fascinating. They're so close to completion, yet locked into their own internal battle that could define the championship before the summer break. Blue! Not just any blue, Red Bull blue! Max Verstappen, the 4-time world champion, who is usually solving puzzles faster than a speed cuber on caffeine, finds him and the team going round in circles trying to find the right direction to solve their performance puzzle. Max was struggling for grip both front and rear, which has left him with a big job to do today from P8. Meanwhile, his teammate Yuki Tsunoda qualified down in 16th and decided to throw his Rubik's Cube out for a new one, along with a power unit as he starts from the pit lane today. And then we have silver, Mercedes silver. George Russell managed to align his side in 4th, but was convinced that one twist in turn 14 lost him the chance to charge his Merc to pole position. And Kimi Antonelli is struggling for confidence yet again in 15th, the 18-year-old rookie still trying to figure out which way to turn his cube. Now, this track was built in 1986 and was F1's first venue to host a Grand Prix behind the Iron Curtain. But for this year, the circuit has had a major facelift, just like getting a brand new Rubik's Cube with smoother mechanisms. There's a new state-of-the-art pit building, stunning modern grandstand, everything's been upgraded except for one thing that matters, those 14 adrenaline-pumping corners that make up the Hungaroring. What a cube it has been to solve. Lewis Hamilton has cracked the Hungarian algorithm 8 times, more than anyone else in history, and this place creates first-time winners, proving beginner's luck can get that cube solved easily for those who really want it. Fernando Alonso got his first victory here in 2003, Esteban Ocon solved it from 8th in 2021, and just last year Oscar Piastri figured out his winning combination. Fans absolutely love this puzzle, because unlike the other tracks where the fastest qualifier usually wins, Hungary throws the algorithm book out that window. Max Verstappen won from 10th in 2022, proving that sometimes the most unlucky starting position leads to the luckiest victory. It's the track where every driver believes they can find that one perfect sequence of moves to unlock victory. Grand Prixers, welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix, where 39 years after Erno Rubik drove us all insane, Formula One is about to prove that some puzzles never get easier to solve.
Damn, what an intro.
Thank you so much.
No. Is silver on a Rubik's Cube?
No, not even close.
No.
No, I'm not going to pretend it is.
We'll look past that.
Thank you.
I'm a bit
Please do.
disappointed in you, though.
Oh.
I thought the opening line was going to be, "Are you hungry for the Hungarian Grand Prix?"
I tell you what, since we're going into the summer break, and then we're going to be coming back for Zandvoort, you're no longer just a beginner.
Oh.
I challenge you to do the Zandvoort intro
Oh, a
Ooh.
challenge.
for our race weekend.
Do you accept?
I accept the challenge.
Listeners, we're so sorry for how shit the intro is going to be for the
No, I'm going to do a good one. I'll work hard. I have 3 weeks to work on it.
Okay.
So I better bring something.
Okay. I'm excited to hear what you come up with. and
Where's
I hope...
Sam for?
What?
She just said, where's Zandvoort?
Oh, it's the Dutch Grand Prix.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She called it Zandvoort.
I said Zan for.
I thought
Zandvoort.
What is it?
Zandvoort.
What is it?
Zandvoort.
Zan for.
Well, that really made you laugh. We are not laughing.
Good luck to me for that joke.
She just pronounces everything wrong in the intro.
Lewis Hamilton.
Right, okay, well, you've done a very good summary of the track and some of the stuff we've got looking forward to for this race in your intro, but you've got 1 minute and 15 seconds to do us a quali lap.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah? You sure?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Solve the puzzle.
Why do you always say something random? It always throws me off. Okay.
But in theory, by this point, you should be used to it, no?
Yeah, but I never know what you're going to say, and I'm always expecting you to say go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Rubik!
During Q1, Piastri topped the opening session despite a trip through the gravel, while drama struck early when Sainz locked up and flat-spotted his tyres at turn 1. Verstappen struggled in 13th as Red Bull woes continued. Alonso briefly took P1 in the closing minutes before Piastri claimed it. 5 drivers were eliminated: Tsunoda, Gasly, Ocon, Hulkenberg and Albon. In Q2, rain threatened as clouds darkened but stayed away. Norris led early and Alonso and Stroll strategically going out first for their second runs. The real shock came when Lewis Hamilton missed Q3, finishing 12 and lamenting every time on the radio. Rookie Antonelli also fell short after a track limits penalty. Verstappen barely scraped through in P8. And in Q3, Piastri struck first, edging teammate Norris out by a tenth. Aston Martin went early again. Alonso shot for P2 just behind Piastri with Stroll fourth. But in a stunning final sector, Charles Leclerc pulled off a masterclass lap to snatch Ferrari's first pole of 2025, leaving both McLarens drivers beaten.
No. You still had like 30 seconds. You could have taken that so much more calmly.
In my defence, I'm completely blind to how long help me.
Blind to what words you're going to say.
Have.
Right.
The word was have that I was struggling there. Have.
Right, well, after last episode, I'm nervous to say, oh, Lewis, what happened? Oh, he failed, blah, 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 because obviously last week he redeemed himself.
He did.
So I'm just not going to say anything.
Okay, fine. It was going to make our podcast a bit shorter, but fine.
In Lewis and Ferrari, we trust. What happened to Max, though? He was out-qualified by both Racing Bulls?
Yes. I don't think that Max nor the Red Bull team are very happy this weekend. They seem to be struggling with a lack of grip. I think Max and Yuki were both going through the practice sessions just trying to find that delicate sweet spot for the car, and it was kind of availing them. And so we saw Yuki has been struggling overall in this car, but we saw Max really struggling with this car. So not the performance that Max Verstappen would be wanting. And he's well out of championship contention by this point.
And I'm sure Christian Horner is somewhere in Oxfordshire rubbing his hands together rather gleefully.
I don't know, though. I mean, I feel like if they offered him his job back, he would jump back at the chance to drive there. I think, drive there? He was never driving there, is he? He was a team principal. Thank you so much for letting me know. Okay, cool. If he could be the team principal for Red Bull once more, I'm sure that he would jump at the chance because he's been there since the inception of the whole team and has been there every step of their history as they've decided to write their own legacy live. However, I do think that he probably is grateful for any of the higher management having some sort of a headache currently, so that he hasn't got to be the one dealing with it. But something fishy's going on with Red Bull. I'm confused why their performance seems to be lacking.
Have a bad car.
Oh.
That's
well, there you go. She solved it.
What a good diagnosis for our
I was
listeners.
actually with the team. They told me. Thank you.
The team aren't speaking to you. The team aren't speaking to any of us.
Well, either way, it's not going to be an easy one for them to get up into the podium positions. So, shall we go see if they can do it?
Let's do it.
We need to talk about Lewis.
I'm kind of sick of talking about Lewis at this point.
Yeah, you know what I am too.
If he's depressed, so is the rest of the world, because there was so much hope and so much excitement, as you said last week, with the whole the sort of Italian mafia style picture in front of the house with all the windows and shit and all the conspiracies being like, oh, Ferrari's gonna give him his eighth and blah blah blah. And nothing's happened. And yeah, his interview after qualifying was just a bit like a ugh.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was more than that. I think that Lewis cut a very emotional figure. He wears his heart on his sleeve. We know that. Fans will say that he's upset because he has such high standards for himself and he has such an ability to be able to deliver when the car's, to his liking, that he's able to deliver great performances. To those who are maybe some of Lewis's critics will say he can be sulky in the media pen and can kind of throw out sulky comments like, I'm just useless, it's all me, 100%. He's, done this quite a few times now where he just lays the blame completely at his door.
The statement that took the cake, they need to change their driver.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it would have been a double insult to injury because whilst he was knocked out in Q2 and was in 12th and was scrabbling for pace, Leclerc put it on pole.
Yeah.
So it's not been the fairy tale we were once sold of Ferrari and Lewis. I must say, though, I think that this isn't the first team swap Lewis has done. He moved from McLaren, where he first joined in 2007, and then he moved off to Mercedes and joined them for 2013. So he has done a team swap. It's not as though he hasn't ever experienced it. I think maybe what we're seeing is the dramatic culture shock of going to an Italian team such as Ferrari, which is a very different team to most others.
Do you think he can only, new conspiracy, he can only win in a car where the team name starts with an M?
This is the stupidest conspiracy I've ever heard in my life.
They rename the team to Ferrari and suddenly he's winning. Gets his 8th.
That's a reach. I feel a bit embarrassed.
Oh, okay.
Of me?
Thank you so much.
For him?
No, thank you for being so vulnerable. Why do you think
Because
the audience can't see you right now. There's nothing to be embarrassed of.
What? We posted our race predictions this morning.
Oh yes, you should be embarrassed.
I was hoping for a miracle. I thought that because last week Lewis qualified, what was he in 40s? He started in 18th.
Yeah, he did
and
he
went in the pit lane.
He did a pit lane start, so he was right at the back.
And then he went up to P7. I was like, maybe there would be some sort of miracle.
You start
and he'd end
starting 12, he's gonna win!
I thought he'd get maybe his first podium and he'd be in third place, because we did see Hulkenberg move up from P18 to P3 at Silverstone. So I'm like, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe the wilder the prediction, the more it can happen.
Okay.
Obviously it didn't.
No.
And I was quite angry watching the race.
You were also predicting that it was going to rain, though.
Yes.
Which was going to be part of your wild card, was that it was going to rain, and then Lewis was going to do an early call to switch over to wet tyres and filling in all the blanks for the listeners. And you looking... Is that what you were predicting?
Yep, and it didn't rain.
Okay.
There was not one drop of rain.
Okay, should we quickly go over our predictions then?
Sure, hit
us. Okay, so Reem, your wildcard prediction was obviously Lewis will be able to gain an advantage with the rain and end up P3.
Yep.
Didn't happen.
Nope.
You said Oscar Piastri in P2.
And he got P2.
He did.
So I basically predicted the whole thing right.
Not quite. And you said Charles Leclerc would win.
Nope. Because I completely forgot he's in Ferrari.
Yes, and we will discuss that. My picks now. I had my wildcard prediction that Max finishes outside of the points.
You were wrong. He finished 9th. But there was a pending investigation.
Yes, exactly. So I might still have some hope. I said in 3rd place, Lando Norris. Incorrect. I said in 2nd place, Charles Leclerc. Incorrect. And I said in 1st place, Oscar Piastri.
Incorrect.
Right, no wins for me on that. So far, Reem is leading with one correct prediction. Your wildcard prediction was that Bortoleto will make it into the top 5.
Annoyingly, he was in P6, but that is still an incredible result for Bortoleto, so I'm still very happy.
Yeah.
Does the person ahead of him got a pendle?
A pendle?
I
don't think the person in front of him has a pendle, no.
But do they have a pending investigation?
Alonso's... No, don't start putting that on Alonso. How dare you?
Well, I was trying to help you out.
No, he's trying
to give you a lifeline.
No, he's P5 and he's very happy, thank you. Trying to just besmirch his name.
All right, you said P3, Charles Leclerc.
He's P4.
You said P2, Lando Norris.
He's P1.
And you said P1, Oscar Piastri.
You just need to shift things around.
So I win.
Either move one up or move one down. So just move Oscar down, move every other prediction up one, and I'm completely correct.
But I win.
Let's call it a tie.
I win.
Let's call it a tie.
Reem has unfortunately somehow won the prediction.
Woohoo!
Which is bizarre considering you put Lewis in. Make it make sense. All right, shall we talk about Charles Leclerc?
Yeah, let's bite into it. So obviously Charles Leclerc had a wonderful reaction to getting P1 on qualifying. His reaction was, what? And then laughed, which I think everybody was very shocked to see that Charles was able to get the pace to put it on pole, considering that we had 2 very pacey McLarens, and we also had some rather pacey Aston Martins in the mix.
And we also had Lewis out in Q2.
Yes, so it was a bit of a mixed up grid, and it was all to play for, and Charles definitely came to play. So that was fantastic. But things all unravelled quite quickly for him. He was able to maintain his lead and then was actually out of DRS range to Piastri behind and was able to storm ahead. And he did seem to have a decent amount of pace throughout that race. However, we started to notice some problems. He obviously went on the radio and randomly there was a rant from him which said, I can feel what we discussed before the race. We need to discuss those things before doing those. Then he said, "We are going to lose this race with these things. We are losing so much time. And finally, this is so incredibly frustrating. We've lost all competitiveness. You just have to listen to me. I would have found a different way of managing those issues. Now it's just undrivable. Undrivable. It's a miracle if we finish on the podium."
And unfortunately, miracles do not come true if your name is Charles Leclerc.
Yes, it all unravelled pretty quickly. Confusingly, to be honest with you, it felt like in the first part of opening laps of that race, he was very much in control.
Yeah.
And suddenly this issue, we're not completely sure what it is or what it was, completely wrecked his whole race for him, which was pretty frustrating to watch. He obviously also got a 5-second time penalty for recklessly driving when George Russell was trying to overtake him for that podium place that he felt it would be a miracle for him to be able to win if he had the issues that they had. And that happened. So, not great. After the race, he said, "I had more details about it since I jumped out of the car, but there was issues on the chassis. When you're fighting for a win and then you have all these issues, it's very difficult. It was a one-off. It's something that we need to look into, but I don't think it will ever happen again. And it just got worse and worse. It's very frustrating to have everything in control and the pace of the car there to win and then nowhere. Didn't even keep the podium." What was interesting was Charles was rather cagey about what had happened. And then they spoke to George Russell and
Georgie Porgy.
Spitting
straight facts.
Yes. He said...
Stare in the pot.
Yeah, exactly that. He said the only thing we can think of is that he was running the car too low to the ground and had to increase the tyre pressures for the last stint because they were using an engine mode that was making the engine slower at the end of the straight that gives you the most plank wear. And the reporter said, well, he said it was to do with the chassis, and George laughed and said, well, he's not going to tell you they were close to being illegal, is he? Which I thought was quite funny. So potentially Ferrari are still running that car too low to the ground. Running it low to the ground means that they have the maximum downforce. It sucks the car to the ground. They can go very fast and is able to unlock the most amount of speed they have. But it means they're too close to the ground and they get that excessive plank wear, which is where they got that double disqualification in China, which they've been trying to avoid. They brought a rear suspension upgrade that they were hoping would be able to give them the right amount of performance without that plank wear. But allegedly, that has come back for Leclerc and he's had to drive around it, and it's been very difficult for him to do so and cost him a podium and potentially a win of the race.
Well, I mean, whatever the issue is, Ferrari need to get a hold of it and they need to start fixing some shit because they are just nowhere. They're not competitive. Yes, Charles been able to get a few podiums this year, but it's just not working. And I think they're doing more damage to the self-esteem of their drivers than they are actually progressing in any sort of way in the sport.
Agreed.
I saw like a graphic comparing Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri, and the amount of pole positions that they've had versus the amount of wins.
Yeah,
Leclerc
it's a
the
fucking
least.
curse.
I can tell you that number if you'd like to know it.
Yeah.
He has managed to get his car onto pole 27 times, and he's lost out winning that race and converting it into a win 21 times.
That's crazy. And
That's
that comes
a
down to
curse.
Ferrari. Like, that's a strategy thing. Must be a team thing.
It's a car thing. It's a car thing, it's a strategy thing, it's a team thing, it's just everything.
Well, we sort of pivot over to Lewis when he was talking about the comments that he made after qualifying, which we've already covered. He said, no, when you just have a feeling, you have a feeling. Because they were saying, well, that can't be true. And he was like, when you have a feeling, you have a feeling. They should change the driver, which isn't constructive and unfortunately leaves people like Fred Vasseur, their team principal, who has recently signed a multi-year extension contract to stay with Ferrari.
Fred.
Congrats,
Do
Freddie.
something, please.
I think he's trying. Now that he's got that contract sorted, there's going to be some nice continuity in the team, which is what I said last time out. They need just continuity in this team and they need to get into the rhythm of things. However, now that they've got that continuity, I think actually they need a break in continuity. They need to kind of have the James Vowles philosophy when he joined Williams. And for those that don't know, James Vowles' look in when he started working at Williams was, if you can break it, break it. I want to break everything.
Yeah.
I want everything that has always been a legacy way of doing things to be completely changed and broken and rebuilt.
It's like when you're tidying your room, you have to make a mess before you're able to tidy it up again.
Exactly. But what they don't want to do is to start tidying up and at 11 p.m. on a Sunday evening, you're then sitting in a load of mess with a floor robe and you're crying and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've been there.
I haven't. I'm just painting a picture. Anyway, so Lewis said, and I wasn't sure how to interpret this, but he said there's a lot going on in the background that's not so great. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means the culture of the team. I don't know if that means how he's integrating, how he's working with the car, the engineers. I'm not sure. I don't know how you guys interpret it. To me, it sounds like someone that is just struggling full stop with the amount of media attention and scrutiny that he's under, and a team that's underperforming.
But what happened to all these meetings and all the documents and all that?
Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe that's the shit going on in the background. Someone's, created like a Ferrari burn book and they're just like, Lewis is a fugly slut. Why is he telling me that my car is shit?
I don't know. I think Lewis has very high expectations of his own standards. And I think that maybe... Did you guys see that clip of Will Smith when he was like freestyling and he said like, I bite off more than I can chew and then I chew it. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, it's very funny. But I think Lewis is doing just that. He's trying to bite off more he can chew and then is chewing it. But I think that there is... That was a really random segue. But I think that the summer break could not come soon enough for Lewis, Charles and the rest of Ferrari, to be honest with you. Let's not forget, they'll be winding down in terms of development. 2026 is where we're going to start really talking about after this break. And I think it was a pretty sour day for both the Ferrari boys today.
And Lewis had posted something on his socials of like a matchbox, and the matchbox said 0808 on it, and everyone was just like, ooh, on the 8th he's going to be doing something, what do we think it is? And a lot of people suggested maybe he was going to burn down Maranello. And after qualifying, people have been saying that he's going to retire on the 8th.
I don't think he's going to retire.
I would be really surprised if he was going to retire. I would be even more surprised that he would choose just a random day to do that. It was a nice graphic, as graphics go. I think he might be launching like an incense candle or something.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Lewis should retire. I don't think that I don't think he's a quitter. You don't win 7 titles if you have a quitting mentality to just finish your season in the middle of that season. Let's not forget that this whole deal that he did with Ferrari, he had a whole season left with Mercedes when he announced he was going to Ferrari. I don't think my man's going to leave halfway through a season with Ferrari. But I think that there's a lot of gremlins in that car and a lot of gremlins within the communication pipeline, and those need to be ironed out. But we've known that. It's been a bit of a dance
he's
squib.
giving Ferrari ideas by saying shit like, oh, they just need to change the driver?
I think he's talking without a filter. I think one thing...
He's planting a seed, though. He's planting a seed of doubt in his own ability to the rest of the team. He's giving the team a bit of a scapegoat.
We have seen this from Lewis in recent years. It's not a trait that we've seen him have in years where he was winning or very competitive, it must be said. This is a very new trope. But we have seen Lewis say these sort of self-deprecating lines and seems to take the brunt of those problems on his own shoulders, similar to how Lando Norris does. So I don't know that he's giving them hints. I think that he's talking honestly, he's frustrated, and when these guys have a bad day at the office, someone comes and interviews you about it afterwards, which just is not how any of our working days go.
No.
I can't think of anything worse.
I would scream.
Yeah.
I'd get fired.
I can't think of anything worse than being asked for comment in perfect picture and audio how a crap day at the office went, because my reply would be like, go fuck it, you tried doing it. It was hard work and I wanted a lunch break. Sue me. Yes, I missed the deadline. Oh well, deal with it, Susan. So I don't think that he's actively saying, get rid of me, because he loves racing. And when he has good days, that day of when he won the sprint race, he was incredibly chuffed with himself. Last year when he won Silverstone, he was emotional, he was choked up with how much emotion he was feeling. I just think that whilst he can have great amounts of passion and positivity, he is a human being. He can also have a lot of negative things to say about himself. In his own way, he's all of us.
I also think he's probably aware that he can't really come on to an interview and say it's problems with the team, it's problems with the car, when Leclerc is performing better than him. Even if he thinks that, and even if it's true, I think he knows that then people online are going to turn against him and say, well, how come your teammate is doing well and you're not? And then they're going to start throwing even more hate towards him. So maybe it's a way to protect himself by putting the blame on himself, even if he knows there are issues with the team.
What I find amusing with that, though, is that Leclerc, as you said, is doing better than him, and yet Leclerc is very critical of the team.
Yeah, I mean, well, Leclerc's been there a very long time. This isn't his first rodeo, girl. You know,
he's trauma dumping on those reporters.
Yeah, Leclerc's been there a long time. And I think that he's shown his ability. Ferrari know Lewis's ability from his time working in another team. They haven't seen his true potential whilst working for them. They haven't seen those purple sectors light up. They haven't seen, the multiple race wins. They know that from his legacy, not from his present time of performance. So I think Leclerc is able to be more effacing with the team because he's achieved his greatest achievements with Ferrari. So I think for Leclerc, he's looking at that team saying, look what I was able to do for you. Look what I can do for you. What are you doing for me? But Lewis can't come to them with the same level of vim like that.
Well, Lando Norris, if you're feeling generous over the summer break, sharing is caring, maybe pass Lewis the number of your sports psychologist.
Yeah.
Shall we discuss Lando Norris?
Yes, let's do it.
Our race winner, someone who started in P3.
Yep.
And dropped down to P5.
Yep.
On the first lap. And then went on to win.
Yeah. He had a bit of a shoddy first lap.
He had a shite first lap.
Well, I mean, he had Oscar Piastri and Leclerc ahead of him, and I think where Oscar was in the slipstream of Leclerc. That is his full name. Oscar was obviously behind Leclerc, and then Oscar braked. I think that Lando had to sort of get himself off the gas and out of the way of Oscar before they crashed and had a one-lap bowling ball look, similar to what Antonelli had happened with him and Max. So he had to take avoiding action, and as a result, Russell and Alonso were able to slither ahead of him, which wasn't part of the plan. However, he was able to get past Alonso, and then on lap 20, Russell then pitted, and as he exited the pit, Lando was able to get past him and scamper away off into the distance, and then Lando went on to hard tyres. But they've had this problem again where the two McLarens are up at the front, so they can't double stack. They're too close. So one of them has to sacrifice their pit stop. And obviously, in both cases this week and last weekend, Piastri has had the upper hand in that case, and Lando's been left out on the track, having to find an alternative strategy to that of what everyone else was following in the front runners.
But it worked.
It did work, but it was a huge gamble. If he didn't go for this one stop, which is what the sort of alternative strategy was, he was boxing himself into just being P4, and that was it. So he decided to roll the dice. Good on him. He could have said, no way, fuck that, I will just stay doing a two-stop and it will be what it will be. He decided to go on to hard tyres, and then on lap 40, the McLaren pit crew did the dummy call, and they managed to get Leclerc to come in and call that bluff. And then 6 laps later, Piastri came in to start his two-stop. Russell came into the pits and then committed to his two-stop. Lando continued on his way, and then Piastri was able to breeze past Leclerc. Such was that problem with Leclerc. Still, allegedly, no idea what that problem was. Piastri then headed down the road to overtake Lando, and Lando was able to hold on, God knows how, for dear life, white-knuckling it around the Hungaroring, and was able to take it home. If you were Piastri, you'd be a bit gutted with that one, I think.
Yeah, it was like 0.6 seconds behind Lando Norris up until like the end of the last lap.
And he came close to a little bit of contact, locking his brakes.
Yeah, that's
on the penultimate lap.
That could have gone very differently. Cynically, it would have been fun to have seen what had happened if they crashed out. But that is just because of the dominance that we're seeing recently, that it's a bit like, oh, okay, they won again. I think a fantastic swing in the championship for Lando Norris. He's now only 9 points behind. So he needed to claw back those points. And
Good momentum to go into the summer break with.
Yeah, exactly. He can really switch his mind off now for the summer break.
Yeah.
Whereas Oscar Piastri, I'm sure, will still sleep very, very well, but not the same 16-point lead that we saw coming into this race. So a big one for Lando. Big one.
He needs one race win, and he could either be 1 point behind or leading the championship, depending on where Piastri comes.
Yeah.
That's actually very true. Lando said about this race, he was talking about some of the issues and stuff he had, but he basically said, that's just life. We turned the downside into an opportunity. I'm not making my life easy. I just need to make my life that little bit easier when I come back. It's going to be full reset, ready for Zandvoort. So for me, I think those 3 quotes from Lando, I think are really healthy ones. He's basically saying, listen, it didn't go our way, but we were able to turn it around into a strategy that made it a race-winning strategy. I'm not making my life easy. I'm assuming he was talking about that lap 1 sloppiness that happened.
Yeah.
And finally, I'm having a full reset and I'm ready, setting my eyes onto Zandvoort. I think that's really good from Lando.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of him for that.
I think he's had a lot of mental growth this year.
I bet he's wishing he didn't crash in Canada, though. Because that one crash is the reason he's still behind Piastri.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have been leading a long time ago.
I
Or
did
they would have
say
been
that,
switching
though.
a lot more often.
I did say that. I said after Canada in our recording, I said, I feel if he loses the championship this year, he will go back to races like Canada and he will say, that's what lost me the championship.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's been having to chase Piastri. And I think mentally, I think that it gave Piastri a huge edge because we saw Piastri really come forward with this cool, calm, collected nature of his that we talk about quite a lot. And Rima's criticised for being rather dull and boring.
Never smiles.
Never smiles.
They were saying he was smiling on the screen today when he was up on the podium, and there was no smile on his face. And I was
They
shocked.
said it. They said it like sarcastically.
Oh.
Good to know you just didn't pick up on that tone whatsoever. But I think that maybe that, I mean, they're going to recharge in different ways, and I think they're both motivated in different ways.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that for Lando, being able to go into that media pen and not having to say, all went a bit wrong, whoops, being able to say, I made a mistake, but it wasn't critically a mistake that meant I couldn't get that win. Last time out, he made quite a few mistakes, if you remember, that stopped him being able to catch and pass Piastri.
Yeah.
So this time out, there was a couple of boo-boos, but no boo-boos that were unable to be fixed.
Yes. And just to further highlight his growth over this year, when he was up on that podium, he made sure to move the trophies out of the way before he started celebrating.
Yes.
Do you know the backstory?
Is it he dropped someone's trophy or he broke one of them?
Yeah, so you know how he does his celebration on the podium with his bottle? He doesn't just like open the bottle and spray it. He like slams it on the floor and that causes the cork to pop out and spray.
Yeah.
He did that, but while he was doing that, Max's trophy, he basically did it on the top step. Max's trophy was on that step and he like slammed his bottle on the floor and Max's trophy fell and smashed.
Oh no. Oh, that's bad. I feel like that's like a curse. That's bad luck.
So they had to pay to get his trophy repaired for him. Which, I mean, he did. He got a fixed trophy, but this year he's learned from his mistakes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good boy.
See, off and on track growth.
Yes.
Love that for him.
Who else would we like to discuss?
Maybe Alonso.
Yeah, what the fuck happened with these Astons? Where have they found their pace?
I don't know. Was it Alonso not supposed to race this weekend?
Well,
He had a back muscle issue.
Okay.
So he sat out for FP1 this weekend, and instead Felipe Drogovic sat in. For those of you who have listened to our Snakes and Ladders episode, you'll know that Felipe Drogovic is an F2 champion who has been unable to secure himself an F1 seat, but has got all the talent and the titles to go with it. So that was great for him. We were wondering if maybe Felipe Drogovic might be sitting in for Alonso. However, Alonso was able to get the rest he needed and was back to his rather, really good fucking form. I was going to say back to his old ways, but actually this was an improved one because Aston Martin went from being the slowest cars out in Spa last weekend to 5th and 6th in Hungary this weekend
That's
in qualifying.
insane.
Whatever drugs they gave Alonso worked.
What about Stroll then?
he was
and
sneaking
maybe
into
he
his
gives it to
dressing
Stroll.
room.
Right, okay. So
Sharesies is
it was
Cassies.
like a pop pass kind of situation, was it? Okay, nice. So yeah, some fans assumed that Adrian Newey had been forced into a headlock and then told to sprinkle some of his make the car go faster dust onto the Aston Martin car. But Alonso actually gave more of an accurate rundown of to what might have happened to their upturn in performance.
It wasn't dust, it was a magic spell.
Yeah. He said, I would say that it's track characteristics, to be honest. We didn't change the car massively since Spa 7 days ago. No new parts for anybody this race. Just the layout, the characteristics of the circuit are just suiting our car, apparently. And it would be nice to understand why the car is operating in this sweet spot here, because if we can understand that, we can understand it in the next few races. So they've been pretty slow on the straights all season, as the Aston Martin, and they haven't been particularly good at managing rear tyre temperatures, which is weird because they have a weak front end and a tendency towards understeer. So many of the upgrades they've brought, including a new floor in Imola, which was tweaked for the British Grand Prix, have been targeting at trying to improve this. But at the Hungaroring, the car spends a small amount of time at full throttle in a straight line and is less punishing to an inefficient car than in a fast and flowing track like Spa. So part of it, I think, was the fact that the track suited their car. They also apparently brought a new front wing spec, which has quite obviously really worked, which will be good for their understanding and data analysis when it comes to their 2026 car. Such is Adrian Newey locked, not in a headlock, but locked to his desk currently, trying to get that 2026 car looking good, ready for when they roll it out in, I'm assuming, February next year. But another concern they've had is that the Astons do have a tendency to go backwards in races, which Alonso hold firm with P5. He's started his race P5, ended his race in P5. So that's fucking impressive.
Well, he became a bit of a bottleneck for everyone basically below him.
And he doesn't give a fuck about doing that, by the way. He's happy to do that. They said in commentary, it's a very good point, that when Esteban Ocon was able to win at this very track in 2021, Ocon and Fernando Alonso at the time were teammates for Alpine. Alonso beautifully was able to defend against Lewis Hamilton to ensure that his teammate Ocon could win the race. Another example was in Monaco in 2022. He blocked Lewis Hamilton once more and was a complete bottleneck. So there's basically 2 races going on. Such was a large amount of bottlenecking he did. So Fernando Alonso is a wily old fox, and if he wants to do something that will benefit him and his race, he'll fucking do it.
Listen, he knows how to make his car
as wide
as wide as a bus.
Well done.
Yes, I know I've hated on Alonso in the past.
What?
But
haven't just hated him. You've actually disrespected his legacy within this sport.
Yes, but I kind of stand Alonso. He's so funny. He's such a funny driver.
You're such a pick-me. He can't hit you.
His energy's just chaotic and unhinged.
Examples?
I've been seeing a lot of old clips of him when he was in his championship days. And there was just the way that, like, his attitude on the radio and behind the scenes is so, like, I don't give a fuck about anyone else. And I love it.
His, like, race win celebrations are also quite famous, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. He does
would
fun
always
little
have
dances.
some very weird, different celebrations. Like, my favourite Alonso radio message was when I think he was trying to get himself a podium, and again it was when he was in Alpine with Ocon, and he said down the radio, because he was essentially needing Ocon to do the bottlenecking for him after he had done it for Ocon. So he was basically saying, like, okay, I've helped you out, now it's your turn to help me out. And he said, tell Ocon to defend like a lion. So dramatic.
He's just funny. He's a funny man.
I mean, Fernando Alonso, he doesn't need an introduction. He's fantastic, and when he has the performance in that car, he's able to really utilise it and work it to his advantage. So he started P5 and he was able to secure P5 at the end of it. And Lance Stroll qualified P6, but he moved down to P7 because Gabriel Bortoleto, Gabby the Great, was able to get into P6. However, that is 16 points in the bag for Aston Martin, which in this current championship climate is a huge coup. So well done to them.
You know what? We started off this podcast being like, well, not this episode, but, you know, the start of this season, basically saying, what the fuck is going on with Fernando Alonso? Lance Stroll is carrying the team. He's got all of their points. When's Alonso going to get a point? He's now on equal points with Lance Stroll.
Boom!
Yeah.
He has caught up.
That's the Alonso effect.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
He's won 2 championships. He knows what he's talking about. But yeah, amazing work for them. And I think that we're only going to see this continue on this trend because this is a team that's got so much investment, so many great personnel, and it's moving in the right direction. So they've had a bit of a tricky season, and I feel like they've kind of been going around a little bit in circles, scratching their head for performance. But if this can continue, boom, Ferrari are going to be crying.
Now, the other person that had overtaken Lando Norris on that first lap is obviously George Russell, who managed to get himself back on the F1 podium.
Yes.
His first time back since his race win in Canada.
Yes, very good point.
And what I would like us to discuss is the difference between Russell and Antonelli, because obviously Russell managed to get himself on the podium and Antonelli managed to get himself outside of the points once more. Oh, I tell a lie. Antonelli did get 1 point, but that's still not the same compared to George.
I think, unfortunately, Antonelli replaced Lewis Hamilton in Mercedes, and I feel that currently, performance-wise, he's replicating exactly that, with Lewis being sort of the second Ferrari. Antonelli is definitely the second Merc at the minute.
It's funny how they're both basically having the exact same struggles.
Yeah, they're keeping each other company down the bottom end of the grid currently, which won't satisfy either of them. And I think Kimi Antonelli's doing a fantastic job. He's only 18 years old. He burst onto the scene. He's had some fantastic race results and had some great performances. However, he hasn't been able to outshine George this time around, which, to be fair to him, he has had moments where he definitely has outshone George, which is surprising considering his lack of experience in an F1 season. But when it comes to the head-to-heads of a race record, unfortunately so far, we've got Kimi Antonelli has taken 0 and George Russell's taken 14 of those results.
Yeah.
So I think that we heard from George after the race, and he basically was saying, when it came to talking about his contract, things aren't going to happen over the summer because I want to have a rest and recharge, but there's no pressure. If it will happen, it will happen.
I guess the weight's off his shoulder now that Max has actually confirmed he's staying with Red Bull.
Yes, that's
so
a bit
I
of
think
breaking
he
news.
probably feels like the ball is a bit more in his court than it is in Toto's, especially given his race results.
Yeah, I think George is playing it down now. I think that he's always been very confident in his own abilities. I think that's something that is different to how Kimi Antonelli is at the minute. I think Kimi Antonelli is lacking a little bit of confidence in his own abilities at the minute, and confidence in that car is transferring to his results. George Russell's obviously playing it down now that Max isn't determining his own future. However,
his future doesn't lie with his mortal enemy.
Yes. Instead now, I think that he's seeing it as, well, you tried to get Max, that didn't fucking work, so you're going to wait for me, bitch. And I think that's a fair enough reaction
what a sassy
from George.
queen.
Yeah, I'm kind of living for it, to be honest with you. But I think a P3 today, I thought George did a fantastic drive, actually, because the Mercs seem to have gone slightly backwards, and coming into this weekend, George even highlighted that he wasn't really sure why they've taken a back step in performance. But when it mattered, he managed to deliver, and that's what matters most.
But it is also like all of his other P3 finishes that he's had this season, where it's the McLarens 1-2, and then he's kind of just in his own race, completely away from everyone else. And
yeah, I think George's podiums can sometimes determine whether Ferrari are doing well or not, because that kind of is their main competitors.
Yeah.
And today, I think, had Charles not had that mysterious problem, I don't think George would have been as much of on a flyer to being able to overtake him.
But I will say there was that moment when he was trying to overtake Leclerc, and he did, where Leclerc braked or something, and he almost caused a crash between them. Yeah, and he managed to get past that very successfully, and he managed to do it smoothly as well, and not cause himself to lose.
Complain over the radio
as
well.
Very harshly complain. So
very harshly complaining is actually really underselling it. The first thing he said was, that was moving under braking, I committed, and he moved while braking, almost crashed into the back of him. It's clearly not allowed. The second time it happened, which ended up getting Leclerc a penalty, in a 5-second penalty, although there was such a big gap behind Leclerc that didn't affect his race result. That's a penalty. Fucking turned in on me during braking. And I mean, the first time his engineer came back and said, yeah, cool, mate, you'll get him, don't worry.
He said, calm down.
Legit. I think Leclerc was driving angry. I don't think I've ever seen Charles sort of move under braking like that. Yeah, he's normally quite a clean racer, but I think he was just so exacerbated by the situation he found himself in. Probably saw George in his mirrors and was like, what the fucking hell does this twat want? Fuck off. And
you're the reason I'm not getting this podium.
Exactly. But I don't think he had anything else to throw at it, so I think he was just like, fuck it, I'll just throw myself at it.
Just parking his car in the middle of the track and walking off.
Yeah. But well done to George, because he held his nerve, he didn't back out of it, he carried on as he was, and, you know, managed to get that podium. I think it was a really well-deserved podium.
Why does Russell always get attacked by angry drivers? Because he first has Verstappen purposely crashing into him.
He's an angry driver magnet.
Yes.
That was in Barcelona, if you remember.
Barcelona, and then now with Leclerc, and he's just trying to drive, bless him.
I've never heard you with so much sympathy for him. Well, George now finds himself only 15 points behind Max in the championship, after Max only got himself 2 points today.
Yeah, I mean, those two are almost like the sun and the moon. They work very closely together, and yet they're always opposites each other. They don't really want to work that closely together. 15 points. I think after his performance, that makes sense. Max is obviously, at the same time as George having a great day at the races, Max found himself of not in a position he really wanted to be. Do I think that George will be able to take that championship result to the end of the season and be ahead of Max? I'm actually really not sure. I feel like Max still might be able to pull something out of the bag. He always does.
I think Max is most likely to get higher points in one race. Like, he's more likely to get on podium or to win a race, and that gives him a big advantage, while Russell is more of a consistent point getter, but he gets a smaller amount of points.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because, like, Max will have a couple of bad races and then suddenly he'll win.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, in Canada, he was P2. In Austria, he DNF'd. Thank you, Kimi Antonelli. In Silverstone, he was P5. In Spa, he was P4. And today, he was P9. But sprinkled amongst that is a few race wins and a lot of podiums. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. Sort of consistency can end up adding a decent amount of points across half a season. But I've said it before, I still would never, ever underestimate the power of Verstappen.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about Max's race today?
Well, I wasn't going to talk about Max.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about Yuki Tsunoda,
Okay.
who now finds himself P18 in the Drivers' Championship, only ahead of Ollie Behrman by 2 points,
Yeah.
Jack Doohan and Franco Colapinto, who are obviously both on 0. He is now below both Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar in the Drivers' Championship.
Yep.
And he is only on 10 points. He still has not scored a point since Imola.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's going on? We thought that maybe Lauren Mecky's moving over there after last week, him saying that he felt like, you know, he had a bit more support in the team, had a wonderful qualifying, obviously lost out during the race, but, you know, it felt like maybe some of his energy was coming back, and now it seems to have disappeared all over again.
Well,
he had a rubbish qualifying and a rubbish race.
They've barely had a chance, though. This is only the second race since Horner left. So maybe after the summer break,
He
once
needs
they've
a
had a bit more
proper
time.
reset over this summer break.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy does he. I think that there definitely was going to be hope for Yuki Tsunoda's sort of levels of support within Red Bull now that Lauren Meckies was moving over to be the team principal after they let Christian Horner go. The reason for that is obviously he's more acquainted with having Lauren Meckies as his team principal because he had him in Racing Bulls. And second to that, they've slightly streamlined the position for Lauren Meckies compared to what they had with Christian Horner. Christian Horner was the team principal and CEO, whereas Lauren Meckies is just the team principal. It's sort of mirroring a little bit more of this trend that they seem to have up and down the paddock with team principals, where they have more of an engineering and racing background.
Yeah.
Whereas sort of back in the day, they would have more managers and CEOs and business people that would be attracting sponsorship deals and stuff like that. Now that these teams are basically technology conglomerates, they don't seem to want or need people to do all of that. They have other departments and figureheads that will do that for them. So I think maybe having Lauren Meckies that has more of a understanding of the car will help the progression of that Red Bull as they go through the rest of this season. In terms of the race results from Yuki, I don't think Lauren Meckies is a miracle worker, and I think that Yuki's race results have been pretty poor since he stepped into that Red Bull, to be honest with you. Yes, he hasn't scored any points. If we look at the actual results, today he came P17, Spa he was P13, Silverstone P15, Austria P16, Canada P12, Spain P13, Monaco P17, Imola he was P10. So even when he has scored points, it's been the last remaining point scoring position.
And when he's not scoring points, it's not even like he's right on the cusp of it.
No, and I'm going to be really overly harsh, and I'm sure this sounds really rude to people listening.
Be a bitchy queen.
I don't find watching Yuki Tsunoda in a Red Bull particularly dynamic to watch from home. I don't get excitable watching him in that Red Bull. I don't feel like I'm watching a driver that is commanding that car to move where he wants it to go. I don't feel like he's able to have a commanding steer point from that car. And when I see him in it, I don't think, oh, whoever's up that road, they're getting it. I sort of feel like it's a very tentative, very nervous drive from Yuki. I feel like the car is sort of driving him a lot of the time. And it shows in his results. I mean, today Max was asked, you know, the car is allegedly driven and designed around you. So how come you're finding it difficult to be able to handle And I mean, Max said I had very low grip, not much we could do today. I don't think that's true. It's just complicated to explain. But this weekend, nothing worked. In Spa, we were more competitive, but this is a bit weird for us, and it's something we need to investigate internally. So, unfortunately, I feel like as long as Max struggles, then Yuki might have an improved car. As soon as Max finds the sweet spot, Yuki might be a little bit more on his own in terms of getting that car set up. But Lauren Mekies has apparently made the second seat a priority for the team to try and get that second seat more comfortable within the car. But that's going to take time.
Yeah.
Might be a 2026 thing.
Yeah, exactly that. Might be when the team have a chance to reset and they can listen to what Yuki's frustrations and difficulties he finds with that car is, and they can try and engineer it out of the car. But we'll have to see if that is the case.
Well, that is it. The end of the first half of the season, in essence, going into the summer break. So, Reem, are you ready for your final recap?
Yes. Is this? Didn't we already start the second half of the season?
Well, second half in terms of race numbers, but it's kind of like if we think about the summer break as like a halfway point overall.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're over halfway in terms of number of races we've done, but we're halfway in terms of the actual racing calendar.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That does make sense, because we're on race 14, so 2 races ago was halfway through the amount of races we have, but the calendar is split into 2 halves.
Okay.
So we're now going into the second half of the season because we have that summer break where the teams they're mandated not to work on the cars. The factories have to close down. They're not allowed to do any work on it, and everyone goes on a summer break, which is why it's called a summer break.
Oh, nice. That's why Lewis was saying he'll play Monopoly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the drivers will be picking up with their teams and whatever, but from there, they're all going to go on holiday, have a chance to see friends, family, reset, recharge, and then come back for the second half of the season.
They're allowed to work for 1 week, but they have to have a mandated 2 weeks off.
Love that.
Why doesn't every job have that? Mandatory 2 weeks off.
Annual leave.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
Anyway, Reem's recap. Lando Norris wins on a one-stop.
Lando Norris wins the Hungarian Grand Prix.
I thought you were just going to repeat
I
what
thought
I
that
said.
too.
Let me finish my headline. Lando Norris wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, battling it out with his teammate Oscar Piastri until the very last lap, until the checkered flag came out, but he managed to hold through, and now he's only 9 points away from Oscar Piastri in the Drivers' Championship. So what can happen in the second half of the season? We don't know. He might win. We will see. We will find out. I'm just rambling at this point.
Ferrari woes continue.
Ferrari needs to get their shit together once again, because Lewis Hamilton is not a happy driver and he has not had a good season with Ferrari. And Leclerc is also having problems despite qualifying in pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix. So please, over the summer break, even if you're not allowed to work on your own time. You need to prove yourselves.
What? No, they're not allowed to work.
Work on your own time. They don't. If they're working in their bedroom with the lights turned off and like no one's gonna.
What are they doing?
Never got an FIA official in their bedroom. This is fucking creepy. What are you talking about?
So they can work technically.
Well, so there's an FIA official that like turn off the lights and like, well, I can't see what the fuck you're doing anymore. I better leave.
Oh, that's it. That's all you have for
Yeah,
us.
you're just staring at us blankly.
Okay.
Anymore?
George Russell makes it back onto the podium.
Russell hustle.
George Russell breaks the Mercedes curse finally, because they have they been doing that one in the past couple of races? I don't know.
I don't know. You put some sort of self-imposed curse on
Both
them.
of us just frowned at you when you said the Mercedes curse. You
George
silly
Russell
Billy.
gets P3 at the Hungarian Grand Prix after overtaking Charles Leclerc halfway through. I forgot which lap. He seems to have gotten his confidence back after Max confirmed that he'd be staying at Red Bull. However, the same cannot be said about his teammate Kimi Antonelli, who once again continues to have a bad race.
Fernando Alonso manages to get P5.
Fernando Alonso, my king.
Ew, Lando Sainz, you loser.
No, he's...
No at me.
She has a thing for the Spaniards, I'm seeing.
Show it, no.
Sainz's boyfriend level. Fernando Alonso
Is
is just
king
like,
level.
I just stand him. He's just king. Like, go off king.
She doesn't mean off the
slay?
Fernando Alonso seems to have been given some very strong drugs to deal with his back muscle condition.
Allegations!
Allegedly. And he drove a very good race, ending up in P5, exactly where he started. And his teammate, Lance Stroll, was right behind him in P6. Well done to the Aston Martin
He finished in
team.
P7.
Wasn't Lance Stroll in P6?
Yeah, but he finished in P7 in the race.
I thought he finished in P6.
No, he qualified in P6, but he finished in P7.
Bortoleto.
Who finished in P6? Bortoleto. Gabby the Great!
No,
Also, it sounded so shady you saying he finished exactly where he started. That's not a king move.
Gabby the Great.
Gabby the Great! Bortoleto.
Try to bring back some level of professionalism.
Who? Bortoleto once again drives the Kick Sauber. No.
Once again, drives and kicks out. That's a great update.
Gabriel Bortoleto once again in the points, and he finished in P6, only one level below your prediction. Is he therefore making your prediction not correct?
Wow, you must share some of Alonso's drugs you're clearly fucking taking today.
He did great.
Okay, right, brilliant. Hadji had a hurt finger.
Did he?
Yeah, remember he hit the gravel.
He drove over the gravel and then the gravel rocks.
No, someone else the person in front of him drove into the gravel, and then it sprayed up into his hand and hurt his little finger.
Oh, Hadji the Cute hurt his little finger, but where'd he end up?
Out of the points, I think.
I'll find
Hadji the Cute did not have a great time at the Hungarian Grand Prix. I forgot where we were at.
I can tell you the race result he got. Hadji finished 11th.
Oh, poor Hadji.
Okay, right.
Nico Hülkenberg got a 5-second time penalty for a false start.
Nico Hülkenberg seems to have taken a step back now, because he seemed to be doing well in the past few races, but he's not done well now, and his teammate Gabriel Bortoleto is doing a lot better than him, so maybe he needs to have some of the drugs that Fernando Alonso is allegedly taking.
I think we should wrap up then.
Yeah, I think we should talk about drugs while we have fun.
Right, moving. If they're not allowed to drink and drive, I don't think they can pop pills and drive.
Maybe
I agree.
if it's like painkillers. Can they not take... Are you telling me they can't take Anadin?
But you're saying it's heavy, hard drugs.
Well, maybe it's a heavy form of Anadin.
Shall we move on to the Grand Prix podium?
Yeah!
Let's do it!
Right, we're going to do prick on 3, 2, 1.
Charles
Yuki
Ferrari
Tsunoda.
engineering team.
Oh. Okay, I said Yuki Tsunoda, Izzy said Charles Leclerc, and
Yeah.
Reem said the Ferrari engineering team as a whole.
Yes.
Discuss.
Charles Leclerc is my pick because he had a fantastic qualifying result. He himself was the most shocked of anyone to find out that he had managed to get it on pole. Such has been the dominance of McLaren this half of the season. I think everybody would have put their life savings on one of the orange boys to have got that on top, but it was Charles Leclerc that was able to prevail. Then when we came into the race, he had quite a few laps where he was rather dominant and his pace was being able to keep Piastri at bay. And then it all started to unravel pretty quickly. He obviously seemed to have whatever this mysterious issue was. He wasn't happy. He was ranting on the radio. He was driving angry. He then decided that he was realising this podium, this race is gone. The race win is gone. The podium's now disappearing. And George Russell then was complaining that Charles moved under braking, and the FIA stewards agreed, gave him a 5-second time penalty, which ultimately didn't affect his race result. He finished in P4. But I felt that he was so frustrated, and it was a Charles Leclerc that we haven't really seen before. And I think that today, unfortunately, he was prick because he got P4, but I think he deserved a lot better of a result, and it was all out of his control, and the bits that were in his control was his penalty that he got.
Yes, I see your points and I agree with you, but I think a lot of his frustrations came from the Ferrari team generally and the engineering team and the car, and I think that's what fucked up Lewis's race as well. So I think the blame ultimately goes to them. I mean, as well as the drivers, like they didn't do that well, but I think the root of the problem is the actual car.
And I said Tsunoda on the basis that he finished in 17th, and he's just been continued to be a bit rubbish.
I agree with that with Tsunoda, but I raise you that we expect a certain level of performance from Leclerc, and today that was robbed from him, out of his control. Whereas Tsunoda, unfortunately, has struggled in that Red Bull since he has been in that Red Bull seat.
Yeah. I wouldn't be against just putting the Ferrari car as the prick of the race.
Honestly.
Because I think that it feels a bit harsh to say that Leclerc is the prick, because he was driving frustrated as a result of issues with the car. And it also seems unfair to say that it's the engineering team, because it's an issue with the car. And obviously the engineers, yes, they build the car and they make the car and they design the car and they maintain the car and all of that stuff. But it was a chassis problem from what Leclerc has said. And, you know, there's no reason why we should assume that he's lying, George Russell, but it happened halfway through the race. So I wouldn't be against the prick being the Ferrari car for this year.
But the Ferrari car, it has got some good pace in it.
Yeah,
and it
in
did have pace
China,
today.
and then it got disqualified.
Yeah, but it
has good pace when it's low to the ground, and it's illegal then.
Yeah, but I mean, Charles had pace in the first half of that race. He did have good pace in it. But for whatever reason, the chassis problem, or they were running it too close to the ground, it then completely unravelled. Whereas Lewis Hamilton, for most of that race, they were saying was running the same sort of speed as the front runners. He was just trapped in, you know, God knows how many cars and didn't seem to be able to make his way through the field. But for Charles, the win was right there, but it was problems. I don't know. I feel like it was, I see what you're saying, but I feel like it was an exceptionally bad performance from Charles today, and it was quite an uncharacteristically
You think that we're giving Leclerc an excuse by saying it's the car?
I'm saying that because it's Charles, I think that I'm placing it more as he's the prick than the engineering team, because with Lewis, unfortunately his performance level isn't as high as Charles Leclerc's. However, it wasn't all down to the Ferrari engineering team. Him driving erratically was out of frustration from his situation that he was in, but it was still his decision to decide to drive into George the way that he did.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that the frustrations all came from him. I just think the standout performance for me today was Charles Leclerc.
Reem, are you going to change your answer to Leclerc?
I'd be happy with either Leclerc or the Ferrari engineers.
There's only one way to settle this. Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Reem, you're going on the whole of Ferrari. You're going for Leclerc.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We've got paper against scissors. Reem wins.
Damn it.
Damn it. Ferrari are pricks. Shall we go for grand?
Yes.
Who was grand this week?
Ooh.
On the countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Fernando
Russell.
Alonso.
George Russell wins.
George Russell, yeah.
Do you want to say why you put George?
George has had a fantastic start to this season, and he's had a win in Canada, he's had a few podiums, and I think that every time there's been an opportunity for him to put in a great performance and a great drive, he always does. Recently, Mercedes seem to have taken a bit of a back step in performance. They haven't seemed to be in the mix. They've kind of been in their own sort of own little bubble. They haven't been able to challenge people like McLaren and Red Bull, well, Max, but they also at times haven't been able to challenge people like Ferrari and in some cases Williams. So I think that they've had a bit of a topsy-turvy sort of run of form, and yet when the opportunity is presented to George, he's always there. He's always ready. He doesn't care what the strategy is. He's happy to take risks. He's happy to be bold, and he doesn't get intimidated by the form of others. So what I'm saying by that is he doesn't care if Charles Leclerc has got great pace. He's going to hunt him down. He's going to give him a good go. And I think he's always got a great attitude to racing. He'll take anyone on if it means getting a good race result. And I thought today, even though he was frustrated under that helmet with how Charles Leclerc reacted to him overtaking him, he got the frustration out, and then he was telling his engineer quite a few times, like, just let me drive. And they were saying, like, great pace, George, and he was like, just let me drive. And thank God they did just let him drive, because he was able to take it home in P3. It's a great amount of points for the Mercedes team, especially as his younger teammate is struggling performance-wise. I think it highlights why George should be getting another extension contract from Toto, because that is a fucking brilliant driver.
Yeah, I said grand for George for the exact same reason, basically. And Reem, you said it's obviously not going to work out, I'm afraid, but you said Fernando Alonso.
It's you, not us.
Fernando Alonso, for the reasons we already mentioned. He had a very great race. He qualified in P5, finished in P5. He was strong throughout. and he's managed to now match Lance Stroll in the points. So I think he's been doing great overall. But I'm very happy with George Russell being grand as well.
Okay. Are we ready to announce who is taking the top step on the Grand Prix podium? Who are we anointing Grand Prix of the Hungarian Grand Prix?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
Fernando Alonso.
Fernando Alonso is going to take the top step. Now, the reason I'm giving it to Fernando Alonso is because he obviously had issues with his back, which meant that he had, less time practicing out in the car than everyone else. And yet he came to qualify and qualified brilliantly and then performed very brilliantly in the race as well. Managed to bottleneck everyone up behind him to secure himself that P5 position.
I said Lando Norris.
Why?
Lando Norris, just because it was a great performance from him today, and he recovered very well after dropping down to P5 after lap 1. And he did a great job defending against Piastri all the way to the very end. And he didn't let himself make silly mistakes as he's done before in the past. And now he's only 9 points away from leading the championship. So I think in terms of his performance in the season so far, this is one of Lando's best, I think.
I actually do agree with that. I don't want it to be missed. I think that Lando did a fantastic race today, and he was able to take an alternative strategy and make it work for him. And you're right, in the short time from 7 days from the last race, I think he was able to make sure he minimised those mistakes that he has come to know to do. However, Fernando Alonso was pointless for 8 races. He didn't win any points, and people.
That's a bit rude.
No, because he didn't have any points for 8 races. But he got P5 in this race, but 7 days ago he was P17. So, and as Nav, you said, he had a problem with his back. He's such a sure thing. If he's got the performance in that car, he will extract it and he will maximise it to his...
You can always put your faith in him.
Exactly. He'll always maximise any performance that he's being given from that car. And I think that it was flawless, to be honest with you. I think he did a great drive. And I mean, to be honest with you, I'm always low-key wanting Aston Martin to do well. I think that car is one of the sexiest looking cars on that grid. And I think that they've got some great potential coming through that team. And it's great when you see flashes of it, and today we saw it.
So there you go, our Hungarian Grand Prix podium. Taking the bottom step of Prix, we have Ferrari, full stop. On the middle step, P2 for Grand, we have Georgie Porgy, the Russell Hustle. And on the top step, our Grand Prix of Hungary is Fernando Alonso.
King.
Okay. And that is it for the first half of the season. Guys, round of applause, pat yourselves on the backs, whatever you feel like doing. Woo! We've done it. We've made it through the first half of the year.
We have.
Woo-hoo!
We've got 10 races left in the next half of the season, but before we get to those, we've got 3 weeks. And while every other F1 team gets to take 2 weeks of break, there is no stopping here at Grand Prix HQ.
Fuck no, there is not.
We are worker bees, we are hustlers, and we have got some great content planned for you. Now, we're going to do some reviews of the season so far, including ranking all of our drivers, going over some of their highlights, lowlights, best and worst bits from the 14 races that we have had. However, I don't want to give you more opportunities to get information than what you've had so far.
Oh.
So the next episode is going to be the F1 exam.
Your mid-year review is here.
Yes, we are going to be testing what you have learnt so far.
Okay.
And the reason we're doing that next week is because we're not going to give you the opportunity to just cram information from the deep dives we do.
I'm going to use that as an opportunity to cram information.
Well, I don't want to give you the chance just in case you do decide to revise for once in your life.
When have I revised ever?
So next week, you've got an exam to do. Make sure you listen back to our episodes, and everyone listening at home, we will be releasing some fun little assets for you as well, in case you want to take part, join in, see if you are more or less knowledgeable than Reem. If you're less, honestly, get help. Until then, make sure you follow us on all of our socials. We are, as always, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X. And make sure you follow and subscribe to our podcast. Give us a good rating, share it with a friend, and we will see you next week for Reem's examination.
Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You'll need it.